Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Caitlin, I'm 29 and I love makeup. So today's video guys, we have a bit of a green fantasy we're wearing today. I thought in honor of St. Patrick's Day, I would go through and show you guys some of my favorite green shadows. It's been a while since I dipped back into my collection to see what do I actually have, and there's some palettes that I did not think of as green palettes that have some really good greens. Now these are not all of the green shadows in my collection. I am only showing you the shadows that I felt were the top quality greens. Sometimes greens are patchy, hard to work with, and they just are not flattering. So these are the best of the best that I have to share with you guys today. So if you're interested in green shadows, some of my top recommendations for just shadow formulas in general, or if you just want to hang out for a while and talk about makeup, keep on watching. Before we get too far into the video, don't forget to like, comment, and of course subscribe. I make new videos every week for you guys, and it is free to subscribe. So here we go, we're getting into the shadows. So I kind of have a couple different categories for these shadows. We have some shadows that are more like true green shadows. It's kind of what I would define as like the shadow I have as the middle main shadow on my eye, like a very St. Patrick's true green color. So I've got some shades like that. I have some shades that are a little more grungy green, like if you're looking for a smoky green eye or something that's just a hint more olive undertoned. And then I've got a few, just a couple that I threw in there that are more mint green shades, just because it is halfway through March and maybe you want to go more the spring pastel route. So those are the three categories I'm going to be talking about today, and we're going to start with a couple mint ones that are more spring quality like. Just editing here, wanted to interrupt and let you know as the video proceeds, I had a mascara betrayal moment. So this Almay Length and Lift mascara, never using it again. You're gonna see as I go through more and more and more of the mascara transfer on my lower lash line. So I realized after the fact, but in case it's bothering you as much as it did me, there you go. So there's not a ton of greens. These are by no means monochromatic green palettes. Some of these only have just one or two green shades, but they are lovely, lovely, great performing shadows. So the first kind of mint spring shades I wanted to draw your attention to are from Huda Beauty, and these are from the Mercury Retrograde palette. Gee, I would love if I could open this palette to show you the colors I'm talking about, but for some reason, there we go, the latch would not cooperate. So up here in the corner here, we have two green shades, a matte and then a more shimmer. And I love layering these and just putting the matte all over the lid, and then just with a finger, or of course you could use a brush or glitter glue, whatever you want, topping that matte shade with that green glitter. And it is such a nice opaque pastel payoff. A lot of times, especially if you have a fair complexion like I do, pastels just, they blend into nothing. They're too chalky. They don't show up on pale skin, but these do from Huda Beauty. The other brand I wanted to talk about their formula is Midas Cosmetics. If you haven't heard of Midas Cosmetics, I've done a couple videos on their shadows. I did a Get Ready With Me with the Smoky Glow collaboration with Midas Cosmetics, and I also did the Valentine's Day themed mystery box from Midas Cosmetics, so I'll leave those linked in the cards up here if you're interested in hearing more about this indie brand. But the particular palette that I'm talking about today is the Flower Bomb palette. Now this has a mixture of shimmers, mattes, and pressed glitters. I didn't realize there were pressed glitters when I bought them. I don't really use pressed glitters around the eye because they're not considered eye-safe products, but there are an abundance of spring shades in this palette, and the Midas Cosmetics quality of shadow is amazing. So we've got a few greens here that are not pressed glitters, okay? So we've got Plumeria, I think is how you say it. I believe those are all flowers. That's why it's called Flower Bomb. So there's a matte green here. We also have a shimmery Clover green shade up here. And then there are two that are pressed glitter, Paradise and Bliss down here are pressed glitters. So if you are interested in pressed glitters, you know, just because I'm not doesn't mean you aren't interested. So there are quite a few greens in this particular palette. I also like the fact that there is a white in this palette because, I don't know, just some of the pastels, sometimes I feel like a white base helps it to pop more, especially, as I said, on pale complexions. So those were the two more spring-like greens I wanted to mention. I'm going to move now into the more true green colors. Some of these have both true and grungy colors in them just because they're palettes, you know, they're multifaceted, which I like as well. So I'm going to start with one that is actually a discontinued palette, but I bet a lot of you probably have it, and that is the Alien palette from Jeffree Star Cosmetics. So if we look inside here, this is a pretty overall grungy palette, color story-wise. However, I would say that this Flying Saucer shade is more of a true to green color. It's not more of an olive forest green. It is more true green. And then we also have up here the shade Alien, another green. That one comes off more of a, I wouldn't even call it pastel. It's what's the word? Fluorescent is not the word I'm looking for, but it's more of like a bright summertime green if you put that over the lid. And then Abduction here is more of like an olive tone. To me on my monitor it looks a little yellow almost, but it's one of those like bruise greens, for better lack of a descriptive word. But I do like having these like bruisey green shades because I think if you want a true green, it's nice to have something like this that still has a green base to blend it out with. That's kind of what I've done here with this true green in the middle of my eye. I used another shade to kind of soften the edges so it wasn't so harsh and it blended well, but you still get the green shade as the focus of the look, and it's still the center of the look without being harsh. The other shadow that has a true green is actually the one I'm wearing today. Now, I haven't pulled this shadow out, this palette, in over a year, I would say, since I've used it, because I think of it in my mind as more of a pinks palette, but it does have some greens, and you might be surprised. This is the Morphe X Jeffree Star Collab palette. Looks like this. Of course, you know, Morphe and Jeffree Star have had some sort of falling out now, so this is not a thing now, but some of you might have it or be able to find it other places for relatively cheap. So again, when I look at it, I just didn't think of this one initially because it does have a lot of pink, but if you kind of center here on this bottom row, that's a lot of what I used today. I used actually What's the Tea, which is kind of like a greeny brown in the crease. And then I also used Wake and Bake to blend out this more true green shade, Nate, here. And then I used a bit of this kind of grayish shade called Vroom Vroom just to smoke out the very outer edges. And I mean, I love it. I love the fact that it is a true green, but as I said, it's not harsh lines. It is blended out. It is very St. Patrick's Day to me. It's a little grungy, but it's not like a full-blown smoky eye either. So I like it. The performance of this is great if you're familiar with Morphe shadow qualities. I always use a primer underneath. I feel that helps them adhere a bit more, but I didn't notice any patchiness, any issues blending, anything like that. I mention that because I know sometimes Morphe shadows can be a hit or miss, but this one, for me personally, is a hit. And finally, I'm gonna head a bit more into like the grungier side of things. There is a true green in this next palette. This one's still available, although it was released a while ago. This is the Bretman Rock collaboration with Wet n Wild, and there's several greens in here. This is almost kind of like a rainbow palette. This is the Jungle Rock palette. Again, this is still available, and this corner over here has the green. So we've got two matte, kind of like a lighter green and a darker green matte, and then underneath that is a green shimmer. Now, I would be careful with this just because, I don't know, sometimes I see green shimmers and I think it's just going to be a green shimmer. This one specifically, this Big Peacock Energy is the title of the shade. It has a bit more of a black base to it. So just, you know, read the descriptions, I would say. If you're looking for a specific undertone or something of green, maybe you think you're getting this great metallic green shimmer and then you end up having a green shimmer but in a black base shadow, and it doesn't always turn out looking the way you want. That doesn't mean it's bad. That's what happened to me with this. I thought it was gonna be more metallic. It has more of a black base. I can still use it, just not in the way I thought. So be careful of things like that, but they are great quality. I actually ended up tapping a little bit of that green metallic into the center of my lip today, my lip combo, to give it a little bit of a shimmer since the liquid lipsticks I was using were matte. I don't know if you can see the sheen and all of it on camera or not, but that is a little shadow I tapped over the lip. We'll get one that's probably kind of obvious out of the way for St. Patrick's Day and for greens, and this one is from Jeffree Star Cosmetics. I know we've already mentioned Jeffree Star, but that was the Morphe collab. This one is the Blood Money palette. So let's take a look. A green fantasy, okay? A green fantasy. So there are some taupes mixed in, some grays, some shades that borderline, I would say even maybe like teal, like right here. To me, that's like borderline teal, but a ton of greens, and there's all natures. You know, we have ones that are more true to nature greens, we have more that are more bright springy greens, we have ones that are more olive toned or gray toned, whatever you want to call it, mixed in green grungy colors. Over here's another green grungy shade. Tons of options. So I would say if you were truly looking for the best of all worlds, like all of the 3 different types of categories of greens I've talked about in today's video, but you just want one product to do that, I would say this one is your best bet for greens. And the quality is great. It's very standard, I would say, for Jeffree Star Cosmetics if you're familiar with his formula. And I would say that's probably one of the most expensive palettes here, but at the same time, Jeffree Star Cosmetics has been doing a lot of sales lately. I actually got this Blood Money palette free because he ran a buy one get one free palette offer, and I bought Bloodlust. So keep your eye out for sales. We're gonna go to the drugstore because other than Wet n Wild, I don't think I've mentioned any other drugstore brands at this point. And this shadow is by NYX. So this price point wise is a bit up there for NYX, but it is one of the big palettes. This is the NYX Swear By It palette. It has been out for a while. This one is $35. But I like the fact that brands like this are carried in Ulta, so if you get a free Ulta membership, you can earn points and get a lot of products for free or highly greatly discounted. So this is one of those I was talking about. It doesn't have a ton of greens, right? You look at it, you're like, where are the greens? Where are the greens? But there are a few. They are in this row right here. So there is a grungy green on the top there. And then in the middle here, this is kind of like a metallic shimmer green. And then underneath that is another different shade, but also a metallic green. So there's a few there. And then this one is kind of like a greeny blue, kind of borderline one way or the other. But you could definitely create a green look just with these 3 shades going down in this row right here. If you already have a palette like this and maybe you're just not thinking of it as something you can create an all green look with, I really think you can. We are almost to the end, guys. I have left my 3 favorites for last. My 3, I mean, right now I'm loving these. The first of the 3, I'll just tell you because I've talked about this quite a few times on my channel, and it is Moonspell from Lunar Beauty. I don't think a lot of people think this might be an unpopular opinion, but this is my favorite palette that Manny has put out, period. I own Strawberry Dream, I own the Greek Goddess, I don't have Life's a Drag, and I don't have Lunar Eclipse. Those are all of his palettes, but this is my favorite. Now this was kind of like a Halloween release-ish thing, but here it is. I like the purples in this too, but down here in the bottom, here's your greens that you've got, and again, they kind of at the end there start heading into the teal category, but this is definitely, we're in our grunge category still. We've got a deeper grungy green and then more of the, like I say, bruisey whatever, blend it out, make it so that it's a nice blend. It's not a harsh lime green. Those are Marnie and Bonnie. And then there's still greens, but they're leaning more teal green, Nancy and Fiona. So these first 3 are all mattes, and then this one on the end is a shimmer. but I believe just like before, it's in a black base. I don't know if that's something that's common because it's just easier to make green and teal shimmers show up with a black base. I don't know if that's what the deal is, but I found a lot of them. Like finding a true green that is also a shimmer was something that I don't really have. So if you guys have something that is a green shimmer, but it's not in a black base, please let me know what brand and palette that's from because I would be interested in owning something like that. All right, our second to last palette I have spoken about recently, actually in my last What's New and What's Through in my collection. I mentioned this. This is from Alien Cosmetics. They're an indie brand, and this is the Serendipity Palette. I will link that video as well because I was wearing this palette on my eyes in that video. I have not done a dedicated video to this palette on my channel. By the way, if there's anything in this video that you see that you want more content on, let me know. I have not made dedicated videos about each of these palettes. Some of them I have, but some of them I have not, and I would be happy to make more content if you see something you're interested in, you want to know more or see more about. But here is the Serendipity palette, and the green shades here, there are 3 of them. There's a true green at the top, a matte. There is a shimmery lighter green over here. And then the last one is kind of like a topper shade, and it's like a duochrome. It's a very soft putty-like feeling one, and it shifts from a green to almost like a yellowish. It's very interesting. It's very different. It's not like anything else I have in my collection. And that's another shade that I consider more of like a topper shade. So you could do like the green matte and the shimmer, whatever, and then you could put the putty and just like tap a little, and it just really adds something special. I like palettes like these too because when they have those special shades, you can take something that is drugstore, or perhaps it's not drugstore, but it's just lesser quality that you're like, man, I don't want to use this. It's just bleh. And then you can tap a little of those special shimmers over top of them, and it transforms everything, and you're like, oh, what am I wearing? Now I want to use these shadows. So I would definitely recommend you have a few of these. I know when I was chatting to you guys in the comments, I was not the only one intrigued by this. And in fact, I remember at one point having a conversation about, I bought it, thanks, basically, like our wallets are hurting, but I have no regrets with this one, so I think you'll be very happy. Last but not least, I have not used this palette in a while either, but I really should because it's a gorgeous palette. I think they are still restocking and keeping these available on their site. I'm not 100% sure. This is from ColourPop, and it is the ColourPop collaboration with Raw Beauty Christie. I do have a video fully dedicated to this palette. I'll leave up in the cards as well if you're interested in seeing anything about that collection. But this has, again, some lovely grungy greens and a teal. So we've got Fiddlehead. Here's our lighter matte green. Emerald City, that's more of our true 2 green, darker, deeper shade. And PNW, which is our more teal shade. They're all mattes. And then Evergreen is kind of similar to the Alien Cosmetics shade, honestly, in the texture. It is one of those more transformative shades, but it is more like their Super Shock shadows, and it is just more of a light green shade. It's not really as much of a duochrome, like it's not going to shift to another color the way the Alien Cosmetics one would, which you might want or you might not want. That's totally up to you. So even though today I used the Morphe X Jeffree Star collab, I think you guys could see a trend, at least I was as I was going through, that there's a lot of palettes that have a true green and a lighter green, and then a metallic or a teal of some kind, that you could create similar looks to what I'm wearing with something totally different. So if you want to recreate this, I would love to see it. Let me know. Tag me in photos. On Instagram, you can follow me, Snapchat, Twitter. I'll have all of that info in the description below. Thank you so much to everybody who made it this far in the video. I appreciate you watching, and I cannot wait to read and respond to all of your comments below. It is the highlight of my week to get to chat with you guys about makeup in my real life. I don't have a lot of people that are as obsessed and really like collecting and using makeup as I do, so it means a lot to me. Thanks. With that, guys, what are your favorite green shadows? Hopefully you can break them out for St. Patrick's Day this week, even if you are just staying at home. I know I always love it, even if I have to do it at home, getting the little bottle of food coloring and having like where they drip it into your drink and it turns the whole thing green. That's just a fun thing that I only do on St. Patrick's Day, but I just love it. So I hope you find a way to make the best of the festivities, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye!